Packers can try to make cap room, but still have to cut a bunch of big-time players to get there. I'd rather not mortgage our future for an aging quarterback, Aaron Rodgers 12, to be stuck with the same scenario in 2 to 3 years. Just not seeing another decent option aside from sucking another year and finding a quarterback in the draft next year. Ugh. I hear you, Eric. I'm with you as far as like what comes after Rodgers. But I remember pretty acutely, this was also an argument for not bringing in Peyton Manning. We need to stick with Tim Tebow because imagine if Peyton Manning retires 3 years from now, 4 years from now. 3 or 4 years in the NFL is a long time. And guess what? When you're playing good football, that can be a very meaningful and enjoying blip of time. So you're telling me that I can spend the next 2 to 3 years without having to argue about which quarterback is the lesser of the suckage options? Sign me up. Then at least like the odds are, unfortunately, you're talking about, we'll be in the same scenario 2 to 3 years from now. If you don't bring in Aaron Rodgers, I would say it's more likely that we're still talking about the same scenario over those 2 to 3 years and beyond, because it's hard to find good quarterbacks.
Well, and here's my question on this, because we all agree with this line. I'd rather not mortgage our future for an aging quarterback. We all agree with that.
Yeah.
The question is, what's the line?
Yep.
At what point does it become mortgaging your future? You just heard me say what I thought the line was. 3 first-rounders is too much. So if I say it is for me, that's my line. So if I say 2 first-rounders and throw in Pat Surtain, that was the discussion we had on Huddle Up the other day. That's too much for me because that's basically 2 first-rounders and a hit at first round already. That's too much for me.
Yeah. What is Patrick Surtain worth an equivalent to, in your opinion? Like,
in
is
this
he
draft,
2 first-round picks
overall, for goodness sakes?
I mean, because you're right. He's
number 1 in Pat Surtain. You said, hey, send me 9 in Pat Surtain for Aaron Rodgers. Ooh, yeah, I'd probably do that one. I'd probably do that one. I'm not sending you my 2023 to go with it. Like I said, so what's the line? What is your line? Because 2 first-rounders is not mortgaging the future when you're getting your quarterback for at least 2 years.
Yeah.
Because when he's ready to go, you got a first-round pick again.
Yep.
Now you can start building your future again. So that's my question for everybody that has this. No way. It's too expensive. Well, what's too expensive? What's your line? That's something I put out to you in the chat.
Yeah, I agree. And just Surtain in a vacuum with how he's still, I think he's only going to be 22 years old this year. So he's still one of the younger players in the league. He's already, in my opinion, a top 10 to 15 level cornerback. Now, because his technique is already so refined, I don't know if he has as much room to go as far as ceiling. Like, he's not going to turn into Deion Sanders, Joel Revis athlete. But the technique and everything is so calm and collected. And I think he'd even be better if they use him in more press and bail situations going forward. Because this press man technique is, I mean, as good as like I've seen from a young cornerback coming out in a while. I'm honest with that. So I think he is worth easily 2 firsts. Maybe, and it depends on where those firsts are.
2 firsts and Pat Surtain for Rodgers.
That's too much. Yeah, that is too much. Especially with the age. If you're talking about Russell Wilson, I'm giving that up because you're talking about 8 years. I know it hurts to give up Surtain in that scenario, but I don't know. He's really good, and I think he can be a long-term building block at one of the. You're talking about the next 9 years of having one of your cornerback positions locked up with a top 10 player.
Yeah, I'm done with injury. May he be blessed with be injury free.
Yes.
Because that's the big one there. But again, what's the line? We all agree with that line.
Yep.
All of us. It's like politics. We all agree that we'd want, services and good education. We all agree on that.
Yep.
How do we get there? We disagree greatly on how we get there.
Yeah.
So again, I'd love to Aaron Rodgers here. I don't want to hurt the future of the team to do it, but I don't think 2 first-round picks is hurting the future of this team. I think you got your quarterback for 2 years, and when Rodgers if he were to come, he played 2 years, played 3 years, you're adding first-round picks back.
Yep.
By the time you either get him a first-round pick in his last year, or he's gone, and I've got my first-round picks after 2 years, and he's gone. 3 is too many for me. I wouldn't go 3. I wouldn't.
I would consider 3 if I'm a big fan of and you mentioned it earlier, I'm a huge fan of the conditional picks because then a certain scenario has to play out, and then it is worth it. Like you're building in a little bit of security.
If I get 3 years for him, then I've got to pick you get a first-round pick for every year for Aaron Rodgers.
Yep.
For 3 years, okay. And then when he's gone from the Denver Broncos, I've got my first-round pick back. I got my full draft back. We just had 3 years of Aaron Rodgers, God willing, a Super Bowl or 2. Who knows? I didn't give up any of my pieces to build this team right now because I've got a good core. I've got some lower picks I can fill. I've got free agency money out the freaking yin yang. Now, Aaron Rodgers would take a big chunk of that, not all of it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, again, what's too much? I don't think 2 first-round picks is too much. And again, if I know I can get 3 years on a conditional, I don't think that's too much.